Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty, Nick Durant here with Tattoo University. Let me kind of fill you in on the progress we're making and what I'm doing today. Still working on the armrest with the motorcycle seat. Here's the base, how the base turned out. This week I am working on some hand pokers right here. You can kind of see the evolution we're at here. This one's the furthest along, and we are going to attach the tube vise here, drill some holes, braze this, and this one will be done. So that one's the furthest along, and then we'll spray paint it as well. This one's getting there, needs some finishing done. Then you can see we have one that was freshly cut and 3 of them that are still not cut out. And I just traced these outlines with my scratch awl onto the metal, and then I just came back with a permanent marker. So all of this came out of this piece of scrap metal, which was a concrete cutting blade. I was showing you some tools last week that come in handy, but I didn't cover a tap and die set. And this comes in real handy. You should get one of these. I have several. So we are going to use our tap and die set here so that we can tighten up our tube once we get our tube vise attached. We need to thread this, so this will screw in the back of here. You'll see this. This is a armature bar alignment tool that I've 3D printed. You're going to see a lot of these on my channel soon, because I am also writing a book on how to use this, and I've been selling these. They're not the metal ones, but they come in handy and you can use them for a lot of things. So they're really cheap, and I also make it, you can see that they will snap in to your armature bar nipple, which really helps out, keeps it in place while you're working with things. So pretty soon you'll be seeing a book that I've written on how to use your armature bar alignment tool to tune your machines. And to do stuff like this, we are making hand pokers and making sure things line up. So we want to make sure that we are lined up, and we also want to make sure that our needle is the correct distance. We have the correct amount of hang coming out of the end of our tube here. Alright, we're going to rough things up a little bit so that they stick better. When they're really smooth, they don't like to stick. So we're going to give it some surface that it can grab here. So I'm going to rough up this side and this side, so when I braze this, it will stick and it won't break off. Alright, double check here. There we go. Okay, here comes the fun part. Propane. It's not gonna work. Light up the propane here. Hold this here all day. See, nothing, right? Oh, but we can get some cool colors off of this. See that turning purple? You can heat that up, Get some colors in there. See how that works? But that's not what we're trying to do. So I get this torch. Now watch the difference here. Alright. You need to adjust your flame. This is too much. Bring it in. And then give it a little oxygen here. A little oxygen till we get the right tip on there. Okay, bring it in a little bit. There's our tip. It's too far out. Bring it in. Now watch how fast this will heat this up. See how that's immediately turning red? Keep this up, trying to get it to go down into the crack. Wherever I heat it up, it will follow. See, with the propane, I can let that thing run forever. But with this setup, I'm gonna run out of oxygen really fast. So as soon as I get it where I need it, I turn the oxygen off and try to save it as much as possible. Because I'm gonna have to move this so I can get the other side, and I want to get that done before I run out of oxygen. Flip this over because it's gonna go downward. See, I turned very little of the map gas on. Barely turn this thing on. Bring in the flame, and I kick on a little oxygen. Which this is very touchy. I barely kick this on and it'll put my flame out. And that's, there we go. Bring in the tip. Bring in the tip a little bit. Get that nice and hot. My brazing rod has flux on it, but you can see it's come off the end, so I'm going to dip it first. And heat this up. And you can aim your torch too. Aim the tip to the spot that you want to heat up, because what it's pointed at will heat up faster. And sometimes you got a thicker piece of metal and a thinner piece of metal, and you'll melt your thin piece if you get it too hot. So aim it at your thick piece so that you don't melt your piece of metal. And you can kind of go in there with the torch and get it to go where you want it to go. There we go. And if it's clumpy, kind of hit some of those clumpy spots. You'll see it kind of start flowing where you want it to go. And then kick it off real quick, the oxygen. I don't worry about the map gas as much because it lasts a lot longer than the oxygen does. I think we got enough on there. It should hold while I do the top, and I can put it in the vise so my nut won't move down there. Alright, let's go like this. On our oxygen. Alright, I don't want to melt the nut there. So again, I'm pointing it at the back to get the back red, see? Get the back red and touch that. That way I don't melt that nut. And I'm just going to use the flame to get that brazing to go where I want it to go. And there we go. Turn it off, save your oxygen. Okay, so now that we have our vise brazed on there, we need to use the tap to thread it out. So we're going to put some threads in here so we can screw this in, tighten up our vise. But instead of buying one of these, we are making it ourselves. So we find the right tap by finding the right threads that match here, using this. And I'm going to try this instead of doing it by hand this time. See if I can use my drill press to help get this started. Hand pressure, little downward pressure. I'm just going to start twisting this by hand. Back a little bit, forward, back a little bit, forward, back, forward a couple of turns, and back a turn. And now it won't come out. Now we have a nice sturdy tube vise. And there you go. Pull on that. That is not going to come out. So what I had to do was thread this some more because this thread doesn't go all the way down and it would stick really far out of the back like this. So I threaded it all the way up, cut it so now it doesn't stick out as much. Now we can insert our tube and tighten this up. So you got to make sure the end of your thread is clean so that you can get it in there and thread it in. But once you get that figured out, you can tighten that down like so, and this tube is not going anywhere. Gonna clean this up a little bit and work on it. We have a functioning hand poker, but now we want to clean it up, paint it, make it look nice. I just want to leave you guys with a couple of notes about the torch. You can buy this setup. Comes with this and some brazing rods for about 80 bucks. 60 to 80 bucks, maybe more, depends on where you get it from. And this works. I like it. But here's the issue. I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oxygen tanks plus 6, the one over there. 6 oxygen tanks to one of these. 6 canisters of oxygen to 1 canister of MAP gas, and that's because the oxygen runs out really quick. You can get some builds done. You can make some things like I made this, probably a tattoo machine frame. You can get 1 or 2 things done before you run out of oxygen. If you're making little coins for your tube vise like this, we're just doing really small brazing, you can get a lot of these done before you run out of oxygen. But if you're gonna do it long term, probably getting a bigger oxyacetylene welder oxygen tank would be better, because these are $10 each, and I have to make enough of these to sell so I can make my money back off all the oxygen I go through, because these are $10 a bottle and you go through a lot. You know, if you're gonna do this in the long run, get some bigger tanks. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next week.